Good morning, Joe. Last month we saw the jobless rate, which was looking at May, rise to 7.1%, and that was a 19-year high. What we're expecting to see this morning at 11:30 Eastern will be the employment figures from the ABS, the official employment numbers for the month of June, and we're expecting that to rise from 7.1% to 7.4%. There are expectations that around about 112,000 new jobs will have been added. But the jobless rate will be rising, of course, because there are more people out there looking for a job, more people registered for unemployment, and that means the participation rate is expected to rise to around about 63.6%. So more people out there trying to get back into the workforce, which is why it's so important that businesses get back up and running, that the restrictions are eased, and of course what's happened in Melbourne and parts of Victoria over the last week or so is really not helping this at all.
But Peter, when you take into account the vast number of people who've given up looking for a job over the last couple of months and the people on the JobKeeper subsidy as well for the moment, what is even the federal government conceding that the actual unemployment rate is?
Well, Joe, that's the important reality check that we've been hammering home ever since JobKeeper was created, and that basically JobKeeper and people working what's known as 0 hours is really camouflaging the real picture out there. And earlier this week, the Treasurer Josh Frydenberg said that when that's taken into account in terms of the JobKeeper impact, the effective unemployment rate is more like 13.3%. So that's extremely high, extremely disturbing, which raises the importance once again of easing back on JobKeeper and JobSeeker when we see the budget update on Thursday next week. This time next week, that's what we're expecting to see. And also the other issue that has to be considered is the winding back of those 6-month home loan deferrals, which they've now been pushed out till the end of March by another 4 months. So important that this stimulus and emergency measures aren't wound back all at once. And of course, no one really knows how this is going to roll out, given the absence of any vaccine, despite some optimism that we've been seeing in recent days about a vaccine from a company called Moderna in the United States. Still a long way to go, and even if that is identified, testing of that potential vaccine could take a long time. So countries all around the world, including Australia, are really bracing and working out how to get through this crisis, as the Prime Minister and Treasurer have been saying, through to the other side.
And Peter, what will you be looking for with that participation rate today? What will it be compared to last month?
Well, it's economists who don't always get this right. They're expecting the participation rate to tick up to 63.6%, which means that there will be more people out there, not surprisingly, looking for work. But also, I know that we get caught up mainly on the actual jobless rate, but need to be looking closely at the underemployment rate. That is, people who want to work more but can't get those hours, and also youth unemployment. So they're very, very important, will be important in the months to come as we, find a way out of this crisis. And also on Thursday next week, in that budget update, we'll be getting not just an updated picture on what happens with the stimulus and JobKeeper, but where the deficit is heading. ANZ economists are looking at the deficit going as high in this financial year of $200 billion. But there are some predictions that deficit then turning into debt could end up being around about $1 trillion by 2025. So it's going to be really important looking into that budget update about the potential economic reforms or tax reforms that will have to be rolled out as the country recovers. And of course, one issue that refuses to go away is a proposal to raise the goods and services tax or broaden the base of that, which of course will be controversial and something that's been politically toxic in the past that no government's been prepared to touch.
Yeah, and so those key figures will be out at 11:30 this morning Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'm not sure if you have these numbers in front of you, Pete, but yes, so we'll be looking out for that underemployment rate and the youth unemployment rate as well. Do you have what they were last month, so we can so we're looking out for that, how they've changed?
Underemployment, I think, has pretty much, been steadily rising even before this crisis. When you consider that to be actually registered as having a job, you only need to have a few casual shifts every week. So that's, mostly important to us just to see what the real picture out there is, because there are so many people in today's, economy who work as casuals and part-timers. Not everyone's on full-time jobs. And of course, as I was reporting yesterday, the rise of the gig economy, which makes up around about 1 million people in the workforce. And of course, they're in a different situation because they don't have the same rights as full-time employees. And so there's a lot of focus on how those type of workers, those people who drive the Ubers and deliver your pizza at home on a Friday night, the conditions that they get, and certainly they're in a category that don't have those sort of worker entitlements that the rest of us often take for granted.
Yep. OK, Peter Ryan there in Sydney. And so we'll bring you those key figures when they come out this morning in about 2 hours' time. Japan's capital, Tokyo, has raised its coronavirus alert to the highest level. A surge of infections from 20 and 30-year-olds in red light districts has helped push daily cases above 200 in 4 of the past 7 days. Tokyo's government has put the city on red alert, so that's its highest alert. And while it's the highest level, it does not come with any formal requests to shut down businesses, only that locals should remain vigilant. Experts say because there are fewer people in a serious condition compared to March and April, they do not believe it's the result of what's described as a second wave.